Hey everyone, welcome to my podcast, Nikki Bostwick Unfiltered. I'm so excited to share with you our guest today, Maggie Maceri. Maceri?
Yes.
I've known Maggie for a couple years now, and I'm just so excited to have her on the podcast because it's just been such a joy to get to know her and have just awesome conversation.
Always.
And so it's really just wonderful to have you on as like my first guest for the Nikki Bostwick Unfiltered podcast. And Maggie has been supporting my family and has held space for so many families over the decades. And she's been also doing psilocybin journeys for families for over 8 years is what she was just telling me. She's a sound and plant healer. And I love that she also incorporates astrology into her session. So we're going to get into all that. But Maggie also is the resident astrologer for the FULLEST, which she started doing that like a few months ago. And it's been so fun to read. We're both Geminis. So I'm always like straight to the Gemini because I know that you like are into that. I mean, you're into writing all of them, but like I know we're on the same page.
Where do we lie?
Yeah. And so I'm excited because I want you to share with everyone about, we were talking about the 4 Ps. What are the 4 Ps that you kind of like, that's your framework that you support people with? And then going into kind of one-on-one sessions, we'll get into Bill Gates and she knows how much I despise him.
Same.
We met through CN from Love Yoga, and it was just like so meant to be. Maggie moved down to Orange County and I had no business like hiring someone, but I was like, I need this person unvaccinated like in my life. And, it was during COVID still. So that was something really important to me, that someone I was around a lot was going to be on the same page. So anyways, okay, well, Maggie, I want you to talk first about the 4 Ps, like psilocybin, psilocin,
Yes.
parasites, and
Play.
play. Oh, okay, cool.
So my 4 Ps, and they can, the order can be adjusted depending on who and what your illness, I want to say dis-ease is. So the first would be parasite cleansing. That way, you can remove toxic heavy metals, parasites, mold, anything from the body first, because that's what's really driving anxiety, depression, any type of, I feel, loss of consciousness, which is disease. Mm-hmm. So a good clean out is what I recommend before someone works with me. So parasite cleansing, and there are so many out. When I started doing this 10 years ago, it was like, you couldn't find a parasite kit. Like my sister and I were doing old school turpentine on sugar cubes like they would do in the South, because there was no readily available kits. Now you can, for under $100, buy a 30-day cleanse that will change your life. Mm-hmm. Your skin will glow. You lose the depressive cloud that kind of hovers. And the second would be psilocybin, depending on, have you processed emotions yet? But parasite cleansing will bring up those emotions, because all of our memory is stored in our tissues, our cells, and our organs. So once you start cleansing, you can have emotional types of moments that are like, wow, I haven't thought about that in a really long time. So psilocybin, and then the segue to that is that psilocin is the active ingredient that gives us the journey, the mystical experience. And that's what really changes someone's trajectory, is having that mystical experience. And then the third would be after processing emotions, psilocybin, and then for physical play. So that gets your lymphatic system moving, because the lymphatic drainage is really the sewer system of the body.
Yeah.
And we need to be playing, because joy attracts. Joy brings in your manifestations. That childlike play is so important. Sweating. So I jump on a rebound trampoline like every day. 10 minutes is better than running a mile. Mm-hmm. Getting those things moving. And before you know it, you are a completely different person.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love a rebounder so much. Like, I got into parasite cleansing when I started following David Wolf, and I went to one of his conferences, and I got a rebounder because I was into running at the time. I was like, wait, I can just do this and not run. How fun. And I would just bounce all morning, you know, and, anyways, I think it's great. Do you have a brand that you recommend?
I don't. Whatever you can do and afford, because to holistically cleanse and heal your body can get expensive, and that can be a deterrent for people to not want to do it, because it's easier and convenient to eat fast food. It's easier and convenient to just drink the water that you have coming out of your faucet. Please don't do that. And, you know. Yeah, totally. So do what you can. Find one on Facebook Marketplace. Go to Big Five where I got mine. Just any type of small trampoline is great. Do it for 10 minutes. Set a timer. You'll want to do it longer because you're like, oh, I haven't done this since I was a kid, and it's fun. It's so good. It really gets everything moving, and it's integral to your healing.
I really like the brand Bellicon if you want to spend a fortune on one. They're like $800 plus, and they are like, the springs are like really good. And so if anyone wants, go to Bellicon. I'm not like an affiliate or anything, but I love them. And also like having sex is like really great for lymphatic.
Absolutely. And that sparks joy.
Yeah. So if you're with a partner, because I'm always like anti people just like going around having sex, that's like a whole nother conversation. But I think you give up your energy. Sacred sex. It will heal your body. And I think it's so important to talk about that, and that segues into birth control and the overuse of like abortion pills and all that, and abortion in general, which I'm like curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it's actually interesting. So how I got into all of this and healing my body was because I was so depressed. I was living the standard American life, standard American diet, and birth control for 8+ years. And I grew up in a medical family. My dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse. They're both retired now. But even my dad, who worked for Big Pharma and has been, you know, on that side of the street all his life, he's like, you know, how long have you been on birth control? And I said, I think like 8 years now. And he's like, okay, it's time to get off. And I was shocked that he was the one of all people that was like, no, this is too long. You've been tricking your body into thinking it's pregnant all this time. And my emotions, I was crying. I was so depressed. I didn't want to live anymore. This was like really intense. So I went to therapy. I didn't want to be put on antidepressants. My brother, who lives up north and, you know, is very salt of the earth, like my sister as well, he said, Maggie, you need to try mushrooms. And I was like, no, I don't want to be out of control. I need control because my parents, you know, I had a tumultuous childhood with divorce and very grown-up themes and trying to keep my family together, thinking that I was the one responsible for that. My grandma had just passed away and she was the glue to our family, so I thought, okay, I need to take this all on at 12 years old.
Oh my God, you and my sister have so much in common. That's crazy.
Isn't that amazing how we all get pulled to each other? But we already know that we've had so many lives together because it's very ironic.
Yeah. I know someone told us that Maggie was our midwife, my sister and I's midwife in another life. Yes. Anyways, So
being on birth control completely, you're not yourself. You don't even attract the right partner with your pheromones. You can't. I mean, think about the people I was on with birth control, and I was like, oh my God. When I got off, I was like, okay, this is who I am. But I had to detox. I had to clean out my life. So I don't appreciate what birth control is marketed as now, as this freedom for women.
Yeah, it's the opposite. It is. That's like the thing is, when people say that, it's such a disgrace. Yeah, and abortion, it's like, I believe in medical freedom, so I don't want anyone to tell me what to do with my body. But I also don't think that we should market these things as
here, just
freedom.
go on that for your hormones or your acne or your this.
Yeah.
When all of these are signals that your body's in trouble and it's trying to tell you something, they're just masking and muting.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was just reading that Dr. Calvin was saying that acne, did you see that list? Oh my gosh, it's such a good one, the parasite one. So Dr. Calvin, if you don't follow him, he's really great. Acne on your cheeks, not on your chin. So chin is hormones, but acne on your cheeks is parasites. And then one other one.
What was it?
Something else that I was
I know, I just read it was a whole long list. He's so great.
I'm obsessed. We'll find out.
Yes, we'll find it.
But yeah, like go look on his Instagram and you'll see it. Parasites, big one. Yeah. That Maggie. So, okay. So if someone reached out to you and they were like, hey, I want to do a journey. What, like if they haven't done a parasite cleanse, do you work with them to do one before they go on to doing a psilocybin journey? Or, like, is it all included in the package? Like, how does that work?
So I don't, I'm not affiliated with Mrs. Rogers Hood, but she is who I started to buy my kits from because she healed herself from mold and parasites. And her company has grown exponentially in the last year or two. It's amazing. But they use all natural herbs that have all been tested. It's 3 tinctures. You can put them all in a shot glass, 15 little drops, take it 3 times a day. And then you take a binder at night, which is very important, like an activated charcoal to remove toxins. But before you start, you want to make sure that your 3 P's of parasite cleansing, which are pee, poop, perspire, are all working correctly so that you can get the toxic load out and not have the Herkimer reactions or die-off symptoms.
So are you cutting out caffeine and stuff before you do this too? Or because like some people, they do poo every day, but it's because they drink caffeine. So well,
you should be pooping about 3 times a day.
Okay.
So if you're not, you need to up that. For me, when I first started parasite cleansing, we were really doing it by the book. This, can't have this, and only this, and only this. But it's the same as if you're eating all organic, beautiful food, but you're in a shit mood, you're not doing anything for your body. But if you're blessing your food and you're maybe not eating the cleanest you can, but you're grateful for your food, that puts more of an energetic memory into it than anything else. So do what you can, remove what you can. If it's going to stress you out, just do what you can.
Yeah, like just be intentional basically, because if you're putting intention behind it, you're more likely to not do like that much harm.
Yes. And so with Mrs. Rogers Hood, it's at Mrs. Rogers Hood on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, cool.
She has a free downloadable menu or cookbook that they just put out for when you're parasite cleansing. So it's literally that easy now of like people are making PDFs that you can follow step by step to clean out your body. And then you just start to really feel that live organic foods, high vibrational foods are the medicine. This world is so brilliant that the healing is in the food.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, I like love that we started with that because I feel like so many different things bring people into the journey of healing. Like for me, it was food and yoga, and they kind of came in like around the same time, but other people come in through like the emotional work, and then they try and like look at their diet. You know, people come in from like just having been on Western meds and cutting that out and then getting into all the other stuff. So like this is just another avenue of opening up, like you were saying, like clean your body out and then work on the emotions and then do this. So it's awesome. And I feel like obviously if you're working on mold and stuff, like getting out of that environment too.
Yes. Okay, so that brings us into when I start working with someone, first I want to know what are the symptoms that are ailing you. Is it anxiety? Okay, then I'll think, well, maybe it's probably heavy metals, parasites, and what is I hate to use the word because it's so trauma now, but what is the trauma? And it's always usually back to childhood. Sometimes it's later in life, adulthood, but it is, where is it living in your body? And I like to use the German New Medicine model from Dr.
Oh my gosh,
Hammer.
I love that.
And so I use that. I use astrology to look at their birth chart of what the lens will be at how they look at life. That'll tell me a lot about, are you more stubborn? Are you more go with the flow? Are you flighty? Are you burning up? And so I use astrology when I'm determining, is this someone who I can work with, and are they still in like a hanging conflict, which would be, are you still in the environment that's making you sick, and are you ready to let that go? And so it really is it's a spiritual process, and Dr. Hammer has a really beautiful quote that when we heal ourselves, this is not verbatim, but when we heal ourselves, we have to do it twice, once realistically and the second time spiritually. And it really is. Where does the physical meet the metaphysical? And that's how I feel about this world anyway. Is it a simulation? Is it organic? Will it meet somewhere in the middle? And that's our healing, and just finding that moment in the middle. And I think that can be done, and I've seen it be done with psilocybin.
Wow. And okay, so when someone is currently still going through the trauma, like, do you think that, what are ways that they can work on, you know, when you're in limbo? Because I feel like right now, so many people I know are in limbo too. When you're like, I don't even know where the light is at the end of the tunnel. I'm still stuck. Or like if you're in a relationship and it's going to take years to get my mom, like 15 years to get a divorce of both my parents, and even my sister and I, like we were all in limbo for so long. And, you know, that has carried on into other things. But basically, I feel like there's so much healing that can be done afterwards, and it's gonna look different than the type of work you're doing on yourself when you're in it.
Yes.
But I guess psilocybin, saffron, obviously, like those things to support your mood and then support you in like just doing the work. But it's like a constant, it's, you know, the onion layer, unpeeling the layer of onions, or like, I feel like when you're in that space, that's when you realize that you're not in control and you can only just do what you can and work on yourself, right? So what do you recommend when someone's in limbo and they either are in their rock bottom and they or, you know, they're dealing with all of these things that they can't really jump on making a decision yet because it's not the right time. Whether that's a parent that's dying and you're just kind of waiting because you're just taking care of them, or you're a single mom and like that's your role, or you have a career that you know you want to get out of, but you can't because you have to pay the bills, right? And you don't have time for your, you know, like what, all of those things. That's like people being in limbo. So what do you suggest for people when they're in that spot?
I would do the most simple of activities that bring you some type of peace, whether it be taking a walk with a friend. Just walking and talking is so good for the brain. I walk with my friend Danielle all the time along the beach. I'm so grateful to live near the beach, but walk anywhere. Get barefoot, get grounded, drink good water. If you're in relationship, literally cuddle. It is so important. Human touch and massage. My boyfriend and I, we massage each other like every day, all the time. We're together because it can literally heal the body and move old stagnant memory, old anger, old disease out of the body.
I used to do that with Eric all the time before we had kids.
That is the most healing. And then you start to find people who are in your vibration and move from there. So if you can't afford a Parasite cleanse right now, although they always offer discount codes, so ask for them too. Ask if there is a discount code. If it's not
email
available.
A brand, DM them. I mean, people ask us all the time at the Fullest.
Or eat the foods like papaya seeds or pumpkin seeds and things that are anti-parasitic. Start with what you can. One little thing a day will help you tremendously.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I watched the Secret?
Yeah.
And I was like, is it called Law of Attraction? No. Anyways, I watched The Secret, and like that scene really spoke to me. I'll never forget it, of that woman, and she was in like this bad relationship, or maybe her husband was just like really angry because of work and he would come home and take it out on her. And so she was like trying to change the frequency. And so she was just like, they were like, just literally leave. so that you're not in that frequency. And then she found that because she wasn't there for him to take things out on, like she would just make herself busy and do other things, then like he started changing. Like she started elevating her mood, so she wasn't in that, and then he like matched her frequency, I think, and like was better. That's how I remember it. Like I'll have to go watch it again, but I was just like, whoa. And it was like working with everything from like checks in the mail, like instead of like being chasing, you're attracting. Yes. And that's so the opposite of our society. It's all about hustle, which I love a good hustle. Like I feel like I love that too because it's fun and like
and you want results. We want results quickly. Who doesn't?
But it's like I think like you were saying where hustle and attraction meet, I think, because you can attract something and still not act on it. So you kind of want a little bit of hustle, but to know like the good is coming your way. If it's meant for you, if it's for your highest good, you'll attract it and then you'll like act on it.
Right. Like the universe has a little bit of a lag time. And so I like to think of it as, okay, let it marinate for a little bit. You're not getting immediate results, because imagine if you did get immediate results for everything you thought you wanted.
Oh my God.
Because some would be really great and some would be like not so great. So another one, my favorite, when we were talking about sex, is using a form of sex magic, which is masturbation or whatever, sex with a partner. And right as you're about to orgasm, you think about the things that you want to manifest. Oh
my gosh.
And watch how fast they come
because you're in that frequency.
Because you're in that frequency and all the chakras are in alignment. That's what an orgasm is. All the wheels are spinning. And think about what you want, and you will be shocked to see how fast things and learning to know your own body is so important. We're so detached. We're taught everything is outside of us. All healing is outside of us. You need a doctor. You need a this. You need a that. Because if people knew how miraculous their being, their body is.
Oh my gosh, we need to do like episodes like this on the reg. Like just talk about random stuff. My favorite. That's so cool. Okay, I want to talk about Bill Gates because I can't not talk about him. And okay, so there was a time where my friend, who is literally the reason why the Fullest exists, because he like is, you know, a genius and can figure everything out, and I'm not technical at all. He was gonna like literally gift me a website that was like IHateBillGates.com or something, because like I despised him for so many years, but I started to really, think twice about it when I cleaned up my diet and when I was eating all organic, and I realized he was like the main investor in Monsanto and all those things. And I started to question him because at the time I was living in Oregon and in the Pacific Northwest, like people are obsessed with him. And anyways, I've heard like funny stories from people like you and my friend Kylie, who have like, they personally or have like a friend that has seen him, and it's like, or an acquaintance of his, and the stories are crazy. So I wanted you to share your story, because we're in a time where people are waking up. The environment is at the forefront of everyone's mind, and there is greenwashing happening. And I 100% believe in respecting Mother Earth and doing whatever we can to take care of her, to lessen our impact, and to live more eco-friendly. I also don't believe in the government controlling what I want to do and acting on, my behalf to do that, because if it's to like regulate corporations, maybe, but like even then, I just like, regulate corporations so they don't like dump a bunch of chemicals into the environment. I don't think that should be allowed. But I also think that we need to like make sure that we're not blindly going into things, and we should look into why Bill Gates is buying up all of this land. And then you just told me what he was saying, which is crazy. Anyways. what someone said.
So I went to Sedona a few years ago for a channeling of Barbara Marciniak, and she is one of the first channelers I used to listen to, and she would channel the Pleiadian Collective, and everything that they talked about came true. I have my notebook with the dates about vaccines and everything that would come to fruition. In a couple of years, she said they were going to mandatory vaccine, blah, 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 blah. Every single thing came true. Ironically, there was a man sitting behind me, an older man, and he was very interested in what I was saying to my friend Jenna at the time, and he wanted to know more, and we exchanged emails, and I looked him up because I really wanted to see what he was about. And lo and behold, he worked for Bill Gates. He was an economist for Bill Gates.
Like, what does that even mean? Like, to be an economist for Bill Gates?
Yeah, what does that mean? Where does that money, that dirty money go and come from? So he was just gross. But anyway, he was like, don't tell anyone I work for Bill Gates. I just want to be able to put some of this money to something good. And I knew at that moment, I was like, he's just here to see what the tone is. Are they waking up?
And like basically, the fact that it was a channel, like I didn't realize that's, I mean, I remember you telling me now, but she was channeling from the Pleiadians, or she's a Pleiadian?
She's a channeler, and she channels the Pleiadian Collective since the early 80s.
And that's where the economist was.
Wild. Yes, in Sedona, which is one of the major portals of the earth.
How many people were at this conference?
Probably like 40 to 50.
That's it?
Yeah, but she singled me out at the end. I only spoke once when I raised my hand to ask a question. I can't even remember what it was. And she brought me to the front of the room later when all these people were waiting to like get her to sign their books and stuff. She goes, Maggie, come here, because we had to wear name tags. And I said, yeah. And she goes, when's your birthday? I said, June 3rd. She goes, oh, you're a Gemini. You're going to need to stay very grounded in the next couple of years, but you're going to go very, very far. And my friend Jenna at the time, she's like, wow, did Barbara Marciniak just call you up to the front? And I said, I don't know why. So that made this guy Jack really latch in, like, who is she? So I looked him up, and he did work for Bill Gates, and he would tell us that Bill Gates eats McDonald's every morning before every board meeting. It's on his desk. Doesn't vaccinate his kids and all the things. And then I just saw a recent interview where he's talking about he doesn't want more trees planted. He doesn't think that they're necessary because they want to reduce the carbon footprint. Well, hi, we are carbon. The trees are what clean our... Yeah, they do want to reduce carbon. They want to reduce us. This is all population control. Yeah. I don't care what you say. I'm a conspiracy theorist. And it is one giant conspiracy because keep the people dumb, docile, sick, never learn to heal themselves. Then you have worker bees for all your life.
But then now they're saying there's not going to be enough workers, so we need all these robots. And that whole thing, because now at first it was like, oh, the human population, it's going to be crazy. We're going to be like overpopulated. And now they're like, we're not going to have enough of a population. Well, it's also because like everyone has like autism, and all of these children are coming in with all of these issues because of the way that we've treated.
Which will also make them people who don't typically procreate.
And comply also.
Right. So you have workers who don't procreate, and people who don't have enough time to stop and question their reality and think about, what am I made for in this life? And have you ever taken a plane flight anywhere and looked at how huge this world is?
Yeah.
It's crazy. This whole lie about overpopulation, follow that as far up as you can go, and it's a 13 families basically at the top who are deciding how many people can live on this jewel, this crown jewel that we all chose to come here in a skin suit. We're energy bodies that came to experience life in a physical realm so we could have the full spectrum from despair, grief to ecstasy, pleasure, all of that in human form.
And when people do a journey with you, like they go through that, right? Mm-hmm. That whole...
Yeah, and we'll revisit whatever needs to come up. The psyche is so interesting that way, that it holds and protects what you couldn't process at that time, and it may come up in your journey, and you may need to just literally cry. It's a different type of cry. I explain to people, it's like a breath of fresh air, and I will sit there, I will hold your hand, I will also do Reiki on the body, I can usually tell where it's being held in the body just from my own intuition. I use sound bowls that will vibrate the cell, and the psilocybin is so intelligent. It goes in like a pressure washer, and it cleans out the neural pathways that you've been thinking on a loop, these patterns. Oh, if I think this way, I get this reaction. It's like an addiction to any food or substance. I'm addicted to feeling rage. I'm addicted to feeling despair, whatever it is. Psilocybin goes in, like cleans out the network, and then with things like lion's mane and niacin that open up the vessels, you can regrow parts of the brain. I don't care what science tells you. Science with $S will tell you that you cannot regrow parts of the brain, but you absolutely can. And one psilocybin journey, and it's a heavier dose than a microdose, will be like 7 therapy sessions in one. And it healed me. And then that's how I knew this is what I need to offer. Being a nanny all my life, working in high stress environments, fast paced. I worked in fashion. I did costume. I worked on set. It was always, you weren't eating well. You're in high stress. Like, you're pumping cortisol all day long, and what that does to your body and burnout. I was exhausted. And so I literally needed to just rest. And psilocybin gives you about 4 to 6 hours of the most euphoric rest that you've ever experienced.
Wow. Okay, so are you a projector Gemini?
I am.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into the fact that we're both projector Geminis, and like it's crazy, but also just a lot of people don't even know what human design is still. The difference obviously between microdosing and doing a full dose and journey of psilocybin is that you have that experience. But would you say if someone didn't want to do a full journey, they can experience the healing benefits with microdosing, or no?
Absolutely. It is an intelligent plant life. So when you microdose, you're not to have any type of psychedelic or hallucinogenic feeling. When I microdose, it kind of feels like you're wearing like a little cape. Like you just kind of feel like, oh, okay. And your neural pathways are you're thinking new thoughts. You're literally becoming someone new. So it's very possible to heal yourself that way. But I feel and know deep to my core that the mystical experience is what gives you peace and a comfort that you came here to just experience life, and that we will die, but there's no fear in death, because you have an ego death when you do a substantial amount. That's what the real medicine is an ego death, and the ego is here to protect us. I always am like, ugh, when people are like, kill the ego, and all the new age, like, kill your ego. It's like, no, your ego's here to protect you, and it's been protecting you all your life. It just knows that this is what was good for you at the time, but you have to now tell it, we're safe now, we're in a different environment, and it's this zoom out that's so important that I want everyone to feel before they leave the planet, because that's what we came for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So beautiful. But I love that it's like, if someone's not comfortable, they could start with microdosing and still have that, that benefit of like creating new thoughts and healing, and then maybe working themselves up to like a journey. Okay, cool. So, over to astrology, because you are the resident astrologer at the Fullest. And I know you incorporate it in your one-on-one sessions, but it's not just astrology. You do astrology and human design, and you incorporate both, right? Yeah. But does human design incorporate astrology into it?
Yeah, they're all part of the one big, like the gene keys would be at the top.
Yes, that's what you...
It's just different branches of the same tree. And my specialty branch just happens to be astrology, because my mom always had astrology books and things of the occult in our home. Even though she wasn't practicing them ever, she had all the tools. So my sister and I grew up and we were like, we need to know everything about this. Yeah. And it becomes this roadmap that makes it easier to traverse your life, knowing, okay, my sun sign is Gemini. I'm easygoing. I can float into a room and adjust to whomever's in there and whatever we need to do. My rising sign is Leo. I like to come in with an outfit sometimes that's loud or eccentric, but I'm really loyal and give my heart, and I'll protect my people at any cost. My moon sign is Virgo, which is a bit denser. It's an earth energy. It's very organized. It's the healer, the ultimate mother healer, which makes me a good nanny because I go in and I can see these are the systems that need to be put in order to make the home flow and the parents and the children be able to live their best life. Mm-hmm. And then once you go a little bit further, those are the three main. So when you see on Instagram, that's a boy saying, "What time was I born?" And it says, "Run from her." It's like you want to know your main three, which would be your sun, moon, and rising. And then what's important to me after is your Mercury, how you communicate, your Mars, how you fight, your Venus, how you love, Jupiter, your luck, your gifts. And then the other planets are generational, so they move slower. So we all, if we're in the same type of year of being born or graduating, whatever, those are generational. They
so
aren't
interesting. Like, is your North Node and your South Node generational? Or no? Okay.
No, and that's very important too, because your North Node is what you're bringing in and your South Node is what you're letting go. And right now, we all have a different one for us, but also the Earth has its own birth chart. So right now, the Earth's birth chart is the North Node is in Aries and the South Node is in Libra. So Aries is I am, and it's the independent, and it's the first sign of the zodiac. It's the toddler of the zodiac, 0 to 3. So they come in as trailblazers, the ram. They don't give a fuck what they blow out, and they're like, we'll figure it out later. And then Libra.
What do you mean 0 to 3?
Like age-wise.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that would be.
But the Aries, because it's like,
they're like temper tantruming. Like,
I wasn't sure if you meant, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Different signs that are.
Yeah, so that would be their age range.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then Pisces being the final would be like the old man of the zodiac, because Pisces is the culmination, all 12 signs in one, which is interesting because Pisces gets a rap for kind of being like, rose-colored lenses and very like, oh, we'll figure it out. But that's because they've lived all the other,
They have the zoom out.
They have the zoom out, and they now know that we don't have to hustle and bustle the whole way, that you attract what's meant for you, and that it will come to you. What's meant for you won't miss you, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And we all need that psychic rose-colored lens as well, because otherwise life is so depressing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like to know all of those things when I'm working with someone. And then you can go in and a little bit further and uncover which houses each of those celestial bodies. Because a birth chart is really just a snapshot of the sky of all the celestial bodies at the time you were born. And I feel that it's like a, when you play a video game and it's been many years since I played a video game, but when you come in and you choose your weapons, you choose what your talents are, that's like astrology. It's like, okay, I'm going to come in as a Gemini. I can be a communicator, but I really need to work on boundaries, where all my Cancer placements are, Cancer being water. I can lose my boundaries very easily, like water, because I want to give, I want to heal, I can help you, but we all come to heal ourselves. So it's very important to have that snapshot.
So beautiful. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ugh, that makes sense. Grace and I need boundaries.
She's we're taught not to have them.
Oh my God. And like, it's so funny. My Gina, my friend, she has a Cancer daughter, and she was like, it's so hard to stop nursing them, because apparently they're like ruled by the breast.
They are. They're the mother. It is the breast. Cancer is the mother. And then you think about them being the crab. So they have a tough exterior to protect them. But when they bring their little heads out, you don't ever want to hurt them, because they'll go back in and never come back out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so crazy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for joining us today. I feel like you just have such a beautiful gift, and like every time I get to hang out and talk to you, it's so fun. And obviously part of that is because like we're so aligned on like everything, but also just I feel like you just have helped my family so much, and
you guys have helped me so much as well, and believed in me. And I told everybody in your family what I do. I wanted you to know right away I work with psilocybin
Yeah.
and this is who I am. And every single person encourages me to get that on, and I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, and it's like about to just go hard. I feel like so many people, in my experience, well, I've never done it, but my mom has, and obviously one day I will when I stop nursing.
Yes.
But like in my experience, I think a lot of people want to try it nowadays. It's like yoni steaming.
Yes.
Like in a way, it's not, but it is. It's like this idea, and people are learning more about it, and it's so healing. But you kind of need someone to hold your hand through it, and the right person needs to like show up in your life to do that, or someone you resonate with. And I feel like the more, you get in front of the camera, or you share, the way you work with people, the better, because people are like looking for, okay, where do I begin? It's like semi-illegal, but it's not.
Right.
It's about to be legal,
right,
but like they're going to just profit off of it, and it's just going to be some pill that they're just going to like allow people. Yeah, like they're just going to allow people to take these pills and like go around, and like God knows what's going to happen with that.
My advice would be to keep it natural. If it grows in the ground, it's okay. If anybody else is cutting it with anything or serving it to you in a single serving, I would stay away from that. But, you mentioned yoni steaming, which Nikki has the most amazing yoni steam setup, and herbs which have saffron in them. So you can relate that, knowing that saffron attaches to the receptors of serotonin that boosts our mood and sleep, all of those things, which is what psilocybin does. It attaches to the same receptors. This is the same that MDMA and mescaline and LSD attach to those receptors. And that's where the healing is, in this computer we have in our bodies that are so divinely intelligent, just like the earth. If you leave them alone and take them out of the environment that's making them sick, they will naturally heal themselves.
That's insane. Oh my gosh. Ugh, I love herbs. I love anything from the like world that's natural.
When you start healing, don't you agree that like the herbs, the softness of using herbs is just like the nourishment you've been seeking always? Yeah. I know it sounds so cliche, but
it's it's real. It's the real medicine. It's the indigenous medicine. It's what it was intended to be. Whether it's tea or whatever, I'm obsessed with saffron, but it's like whether it's tea or psilocybin or saffron, or it's like just a walk in the woods, like whether it's nature, essential oils, like whatever it is, whatever's coming from nature just takes you back. That's why I like taking a bath, being in water that's like filtered. I mean, everything that we have access to has just gone too far. And then going back to how close it is to the source is like all we're saying. The other day someone said to me like, and it came up again, I saw on social media, it's like everything that we have and that we've created is still from the earth, because like man has created it. And it's like somehow based on like all of these chemicals, like they're based on something that was found in nature, or a derivative. Yes. And it's like, let's just go back to the derivative, because it's just so far gone that, and if you think about the way like homeopathy and everything works, that's the frequency of that thing that works, and it still works like that. And that's what's so beautiful, because we're getting healing through frequency, through vibration, through sound, through the earth in terms of the roots and all that. And it's just so beautiful, and I love that we're on the same page, and I feel like we should just do this more. So I like have the benefit and honor of just like seeing Maggie on a regular basis, and like we just have these chats. But with like this podcast, I feel like that's what I'm trying to bring in, is more of what I get to experience in my own daily life, and the people that are around me, and like the conversations we're having. Because I think there's like a lot of benefit to like interviewing experts, and like you are an expert in your field and you have all this knowledge, but it's also like, who are you actually using on a regular basis and working with and seeing, and how can other people have access to that?
Empowering people. Like, it is scary to shift off of the mainstream media, the the doctors, the, you know, giving birth, all of these things that we're so afraid to do ourselves that people have been doing for millennia plus. When you do get off of that, it's scary, but then you start to feel empowered and you see results of like, oh, it's almost like the simpler it is, the better.
Yeah, no, I really think so. And I think that's like the way podcasts are shifting and just media in general, because people are like noticing the lack of reality in it. That's why reality shows were so popular, and like I guess still are. I don't watch them, but like people want reality, and they're getting reality that's not real, you know, through the Kardashians and all that. Yeah, filtered. And this is unfiltered.
That's right.
And it's like so exciting because I think also, you know, it's people that want that, incorporating these things into their lives, and they need someone to bring that person in, or they want to know like, okay, before I go on the psilocybin journey with Maggie, I want to do a parasite cleanse. Like, where do I go? What can I do? And then I'll contact Maggie, or I'll just contact Maggie right now. Or okay, I can go on this cleanse and it's attainable for me, even though I can't 100% do everything perfectly.
Right.
But I can do what I can and still kind of cleanse a little and do whatever my body's ready to do before I go on to do psilocybin, and like also understand myself more. And
right, just the action or the thought that you want to heal already puts the cells in motion to heal. Every day, just waking up and saying thank you to your cells, and we're going to turn over every single day, initiates the healing. It doesn't have to be done perfectly. You just have to make the little changes, take yourself out of the toxic environments, and you'll see the path reveals itself.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll have you on very soon.
Yeah, so if you want to work with me, you can email me at soothejourney@gmail.com. That's SOOTHE journey@gmail.com. And also you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Girl of Big Dreams, so at Girl of Big Dreams, and I make big giant dream catchers. Sleep is so important, and I do my channeling through that.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.